Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue on with the Blood Red Skies flight school. And in this video, we're going to actually play through Scenario 1. Scenario 1 is called Dogfight. A dogfight, or furball, is flyer parlance for an ongoing air battle where elements are already rapidly jockeying for position, diving into and out of the action. Fights like these could develop and dissolve again within minutes as large formations clash across miles of vertical and horizontal space. This is scenario 1, which is like your baseline scenario. This is a scenario that you and your friends could just get together, throw some stuff on the table, and play. Now, each player can deploy up to a maximum of 4 elements and must deploy a minimum of 2 elements. Each element must comprise of 2 or more planes from the same squadron. So it could be any number of planes, because basically I could have 12 planes per element and have 4 elements, making 48 planes on my side. That might take a few minutes to play. You would take points and you would spend them on your planes and your pilots, and you would get your force. Okay, and that's how you and your friends could do like a pitch battle. Now, but in this scenario, we're going to use the recommended forces for the dogfight. Altertag, or Eagle Day, Battle of Britain, 13 August 1940. The player with the most planes begins deployment by deploying 1 element. If numbers are equal, like they are now, each player will roll a die, each one, and the lower roller will deploy his first element. The first element may be deployed anywhere on the table. So I'm using a 3x3 map that I've created, and so he could deploy anywhere on the table. And then the opposing player then deploys one of their elements anywhere more than 18 inches away from an enemy plane. Remember, elements must be within 3 inches of each other. So if I was to put an element directly in the center of the table, my opponent is going to be stuck deploying in one of the corners, right? And then what that's going to do is when I go to deploy my second element, I'm going to be in opposite corners pretty much, because you're limited by the 18 inches. 18 inches is a pretty good size. This right here from there to there is 18 inches. So if I put something in the middle, it'd be really hard for me to put something on the table. I have to put it in the corner here, which is fine. But then my opponent would set up another flight, and he could put it anywhere on the other side of the table. And if he was to put it, let's say, in that corner, then my next element would either have to be beside this one or over there in some kind of opposite. So if you're playing with large elements, multiple planes per element, you might want to play on something maybe 3x4 or maybe a 4x4. But the scenarios in the game are expecting a 3x3 playing field. They do recommend maybe a 4x6 on a large engagement. And then we roll for advantage level. As always, 1 or 2 is disadvantage, 3 or 4, a 1 or 2 is disadvantage, a 3 or a 4 is neutral, and a 5 or a 6 is advantage. If a plane leaves the table, it can make a maneuver test to bring the plane back on the table anywhere along the edge. So hypothetically, if I fly off on this edge, if I make my maneuver test, it comes back on this edge. It could come out anywhere on this edge, and I roll again to see if I'm advantage, neutral, or disadvantage. And if I fail, then it just fails to come back on. It returned to base, and you add a boom chit to your squadron. So it is a way to kind of really maneuver to another side of the table, but there's a chance that you'll be shot down, or a boom chit and you fly home. The scenario continues until all planes from one player retreat or have lost the table. Victory is achieved by driving off the opposing squadron via shot down planes and accumulated boom chits. With there being 4 planes per side, you need to accumulate 5 boom chits because it's always one more than the number of engines you have. Okay, so because we're using the recommended forces, it says that I have a squadron of 2 elements of Spitfires. Each element has 2 Spitfires, pilot skill 3. That's what I've got right there. The Luftwaffe has 2 elements also of 2 109s each, also with pilot skill level 3. So guess what? They're all level 3. So there's no 4s, there's no outmaneuvering without die rolls because nobody has a better piloting skill. Okay, now we have to build our decks. We're going to build the decks for both of these teams. The RAF gets 4 tight turns and a radar support and defensive tactics, which is right there, and home advantage, which they have all right there. Okay, and the Luftwaffe gets clear skies, 2 great dives, and 2 great climbs, because you have to split the great climbs and the great dives evenly, and they get dive away and poorly trained opponents. Radar support is played during deployment, so we're going to put that at the top. And then clear skies is played during deployment, so I'm going to put that on the top, just to remind me. I'm going to have the Brits come on this side, and the Germans are coming from the other side. We're going to roll a die for initiative, just see who has to set up their actions first. We're going to go with a German roll and a British roll, and the British got a 4, so the Germans have to deploy first. Okay, so the Germans want to deploy a group right there, okay? And then the Brits have to be more than 18 inches away with their group, and they can't be anywhere on that backside. I guess I could put somebody in that corner over there, but I kind of want to. I'm going to put guys. Yep, right there. That's a good group. And then the Germans have to set up a group at least 18 inches away from this group, and we're going to put them. How about right there? And so then the Brits, because they're feeling lucky, we're going to set up off camera right over here. They'll be moving onto the camera very shortly. Okay. You can't see them, but they're right there. Okay, so everybody's deployed. Now, with radar support, it says, play this card during deployment. This is British. Make a maneuver test for each friendly plane that has a score of success automatically starts the game with advantage, and then you remove it from play. A maneuver test is their piloting skill plus the agility of the plane. The agility in this case is 3, and everyone's piloting skill is 3. So I'm going to roll for this guy. He starts with advantage. I'm going to roll for that guy. He starts with advantage. All you have to do is get 1 success. I'm going to roll for that guy over there. He starts with advantage. And I'm going to roll with that guy right there. He does not start with advantage. Okay. So we roll a die for him to see how he starts. Remember, 1, 2. Okay, he's advantage. Okay, so all the Brits are in advantage. The Germans play clear skies at the deployment, and it says remove up to 2 cloud markers, which we're not using clouds, so that's kind of a waste. So let's go ahead and roll their advantage state. Advantage. Disadvantage. Disadvantage. Oh my gosh. Disadvantage. Oh my lord. Okay, so it looks like the Brits have got the jump. That radar support helped out quite a bit. Guided them in on the enemy, right? Okay, so at the start of the turn, we're going to start the turn. I'm going to take my German deck, I'm going to shuffle it up, and we're going to take 3 cards, because that's the name of the game. And I'm just going to play them face up for you, the audience. And I'm going to do the same thing for the British. Draw 3 cards. All right. The British can turn when they're getting shot at, or they can turn when they're being moved, when they're moving. And then the Germans have poorly trained. When an enemy plane tries to do a pilot action, he has to do a maneuver test. And great climb and great dive, they have one of each. In reaction to any plane within 12 inches, climbing for advantage. If they try to climb, they have to roll to get a success. And great dive, if it's burning its dive advantage, then it gets to add its move, which is 7 instead of the normal 6. Okay, so if we go in order of who has advantage, all the British have advantage, but one German does have advantage. So, and they're all the same pilot skill, so we have to beat the tie using the actual speed. And the Spitfire says 357, where the 109 says 354. I don't know if I believe that to be true, but we're going to go by the game, and it says 357. The Spitfires are going to get to go first. I'm going to burn an advantage with this gentleman right here. I'm going to use one of these tight turns. It says, on a plane with this trait, that's this one, the plane can make its normal 45-degree turn at any point in its movement, not just the end. I'm going to turn to face directly at the plane because I thought that I could just get to its tail, but that's not true. You have to be facing directly at it. I kind of like the side maneuver of the one they're selling on Warlord. That's 11, 12, 13. And I'm facing directly at him, and I'm within firing range. I'm in his tail, so I'm going to maneuver him to disadvantage. Boom, automatic. Okay, now because he's at disadvantage and not at advantage level anymore, we don't even have to worry about who goes first. The Brits are going first. Okay, so I've burned advantage, I dove, I got in a tailing position, dropped into disadvantage, I moved, right, and then now as a pilot action I can shoot, outmaneuver, or climb. In this case I want to shoot. So I roll my piloting skill of 3 and my 1 for the firing of the guns. But I have poorly trained opponents. The enemy plane must pass a maneuver test to complete their chosen pilot action. So here we go. This is the pilot test. I succeed. So then I go ahead and shoot. Oh, I got no hits. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to dive, which is going to allow me to move, again, 13. 7 plus 6. I'm not in range, so I'm going to use a climb to finish my turn. I'm also going to, right at the end of the move, I was going to do a turn, and then I was going to climb. But the German can play a great climb. Anybody within 12 inches, which he is, the enemy must make a maneuver test to climb. Oh, he didn't, so he's not climbing. Okay. I still have 2 more guys with advantage. They're going to burn advantage to dive. We're going to go the full amount, 13. Oh, we're out of range. So I'm going to try to climb. Now, the German can't play great dive or great climb because he's already used it. Next guy's going to do, he's not in range, so he does the burn advantage. He uses his advantage to climb. Okay. Wow. All right. Now, the Germans, being at disadvantage, can't shoot planes that are at advantage. So, and they're not going to burn advantage to be able to climb. And they can't burn advantage anyway because they're at the bottom. So all they can do is maneuver. His speed is 7. So he moves 7. Really? Okay. He moves 7. Uses his 45-degree turn. That's free. And then he's going to use his pilot action to climb. He's going to do the same. I can't burn advantage. I don't have any advantage to burn. So I'm going to move 7. Turn 45 degrees and climb. That's all I can do. Okay, everybody's moved. So we pick up all the zoom chits, refill the hand, discard if you don't want it. We can refill the hand. They're keeping those. So all I need is 1. Boop. They only get the same thing over and over and over. Tight turn. Okay. New turn. The guys with advantage, which are these two, will be the ones to go first. So we'll start with burn advantage to maneuver. So I get to move 7 because that's my speed. Right? So far so good. I'm going to use outmaneuver to turn and face this guy, but I now see that I'm not in his rear, so I'm not tailing him. I can't shoot him if we're at the same level, so I will use a pilot action, outmaneuver this plane, compare them. Okay, they're the same, but because they're the same, I have to make a pilot test, which is 3 dice to outmaneuver him. Or basically, he's rolling 3 dice to prevent me from outmaneuvering him, actually. So he's rolling, he did not prevent me from outmaneuvering him. It reduces his advantage level by 1. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. So now this guy is going to do the same. He's going to burn advantage to maneuver. I'm going to fly straight anywhere between 4 and 7. I'll pick 7. Then I can turn up to 180 degrees. I turn like that. And then that was my move. Now my pilot action is to shoot, because I can shoot him. Now because I'm in his side, he gets deflection. So when I shoot, I roll my 3 dice plus my 1 for the gun. Looking for that. That automatically gives a boom chit to the Germans. But he can dodge the damage with his agility and his pilot skill. So he's trying to avoid getting shot down. He avoids getting shot down. But we still gave him a boom chit. Okay. These two have already moved. The normal advantages, the Spitfires go first. I'm going to do a tight turn on him, which allows him to turn before he moves. So he's going to turn and face directly at this guy. He's going to move 7. He's going to use his pilot action to shoot at him. So 3 dice plus 1 for the gun. Is he in range? We know he is. One hit. Guess what? That's another boom chit on the Germans. Now, because it is a deflection shot, he gets his maneuver and his pilot skill to avoid being shot down. He avoids being shot down. This gentleman will do the same thing. He's going to use tight turn to turn at the beginning of his turn, straight at him, actually in between here, which is weird because it puts me right there. All the wings are touching. Within range, I shoot him. Again, I got a boom chit, and he has to make a piloting skill. It's still deflection, not to be shot down. He's not shot down. It's like he's the Huckleberry. Well, that's because he's at disadvantage, because I outmaneuvered him. Okay, so all the Brits have gone. So now the Germans are free to act. The guys at normal have to go before the guy at disadvantage. He only has to go a minimum of 4. But I could go 5. I could go 7. And if I was to turn, perfect. So I maneuver, I turn, I don't dive or anything like that. I don't use advantage. I just shoot him. So this guy is shooting him and he has no way to retaliate. Defensive tactics. It says, in reaction to enemy shooting, the plane under attack may make a bonus 45-degree turn before the shot is resolved. I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn to face him. So now it's not a deflection shot, but I do get to shoot back. All right, so his pilot skill, he has a hit. So the Brits get a boom chit. Now this guy has to resist getting shot down. It's to the front, so he only gets to use his... you know what? I've been messing up. But either way, he hasn't got shot down. I forgot. When it's a deflection shot, you roll not the agility, you roll the speed. But because it's not deflection, he rolls the agility. So he gets 6 dice to avoid being reduced. Okay, he's not reduced in altitude, but now he gets to shoot back, and so he rolls his 4 dice, getting another boom chit on the Germans. Okay, and because the German's getting shot in the front, he uses his deflection, his dodge, and his pilot skill. He's not reduced in altitude. Okay, so far so good. Now this guy, knowing he can't turn again, goes about 5 and does a 45-degree turn. I'm in range, but not in his front. There it is. So he gets he's going to get a deflection shot here. He takes the 4 dice that he's going to roll, gets a hit, which automatically adds a boom chit. And this guy gets to use his speed, which is 7, plus his pilot skill of 3, to not get reduced. He's not reduced. All right. Germans are doing it. Okay, so I think this guy's going to burn advantage to dive. And he's going to use great dive to move 7 instead of 6. So he actually gets to move 14 inches on the great dive. So there's 11 and 3 more. Okay, he gets to turn 45 degrees. He does. And then he uses his piloting skill to climb back to normal. And then this guy's at disadvantage. He uses the dive away ability. It says on a disadvantaged friendly plane, the plane may burn advantage to make a dive move even though it is disadvantaged. So he's going to move his 13 and then use his pilot action to climb. Okay, so turn 2 is over. Pick up all the zoom shits. So we got the defensive tactic of turning when they attack you, and then a couple of tight turns. Alright, so who has advantage? Nobody has advantage. Everybody's at neutral, it looks like. Guess who that means? That means the British go first. That's cheating. Okay, so the British get to go first. So I'm going to burn advantage for a maneuver. And then I'm going to move 7, getting in his tail, and then I'm going to use my maneuver to turn to face him, automatically bringing him to disadvantage. And then I'm going to use my pilot action to outmaneuver this guy. Okay, he gets a +1 to his maneuver test because he's not the closest. Okay, so his maneuver test is his dodge and his agility plus the 1 because he's not the closest. I know this is crazy, right? But he succeeds in not getting forced down. Now, because at the start of the turn, he's at disadvantage, start of their turn, he's at disadvantage, so I'm going to maneuver this guy first. Okay, hold on, let's do that. He gets to shoot before anything starts. And we're in the front, so he gets to shoot back. So here we go. This is the only time a disadvantaged plane can shoot back is when it's being shot to the front. But here we go. Here's my... Ah, he missed. Okay, so this guy gets to shoot back. Same dice. Missed. These two miss each other. Okay. All right, now that's just the start of his turn. So now he's going to maneuver. He's going to go he's going to slow his roll to just 4. And instead of, oh wait, yeah, he's still in the front. Okay, if I went 5, then I would not be in his front. I could shoot him and he can't shoot back. So here we go. Oh, at my end of my maneuver, I can turn up to 45 degrees. There we go. And my pilot action is to shoot him. What? That's a bull. Okay, no problem. Okay, no worries. Absolutely no worries. Okay, so now he gets his little boom shit, or his flight thing. Okay, so this guy is going to do the same. He's going to move 4, turn 45 degrees, and shoot him in the side. Are you guys watching this? Okay, no hits. I think he was supposed to shoot before he moved, but that's okay. That was my failure. Okay, so now this guy, he's in his front or no? Not in his front. Okay, whoa. Not on his front. So he's not going to be able to shoot him at the start. And I can't shoot him because we're at the same level. So I'll have to get into a position where I'm going to be able to shoot somebody. So I'm going to use tight turn to maneuver before I move. And then I'm going to move as slow as possible, which is 4, which puts me right there. And then I'm going to shoot him in the face. Okay, here we go. There's a hit. That's a boom chit to the Germans. The Germans just lost. That's the end. Even if he saves. Let's see if he can save. It's to the front, so he gets 6 dice. He actually gets shot down. Boom! But in the meantime, he gets to shoot back. So let's go ahead and do that. Just to do what we're supposed to be doing. He would have got a hit. The Spitfire would have got a boom chit. And then the Spitfire would have had to have dodged getting reduced by 1 altitude level. And he did. Okay. So, 1 German plane shot down, 5 boom chits. Spitfires win the game. That was, I think, on turn 3. Well, the Spitfires did have the advantage over them. They had the radar, which gave them the chance to get a higher advantage, and then the concentrated fire, so that helped. And even though one plane, probably this one, took a lot of fire, it didn't get shot down, but every time it got shot at, it seemed to have received a boom chit, and all that matters is getting enough boom chits to cause them to retreat. Alright guys, thanks for coming out and checking out this game, and tune in again. We're going to have another scenario coming soon. Fighter sweep. I'll catch you next time.